What if I told you that in just 6 months you could completely transform your life, your mindset, your success, your destiny? Not through luck, not through waiting, but by following a clear plan rooted in timeless principles that never fail. Today, I'm going to give you the exact success plan you need right now to step into your breakthrough season. The seed of transformation lies in thought. Plant only the seeds of victory. Every change that a person longs for, every dream that feels just out of reach begins not in the world outside, but in the quiet chamber of the mind. The mind is a fertile ground, ever ready to receive what is planted within it. If you place seeds of defeat, you cannot expect a harvest of triumph. If you scatter seeds of doubt, you cannot expect the fruits of certainty. Just as a farmer chooses the finest seeds to cultivate a strong harvest, so too must you choose the thoughts that will shape your life. Victory cannot grow from thoughts of fear, hesitation, or self-limitation, for these are weeds that choke the garden of destiny. A person who longs for transformation must first guard the gate of the mind. Thoughts arrive like visitors, some bringing light and others carrying shadows. You do not have to entertain every thought that knocks. You have the authority to decide which ones to welcome and which ones to dismiss. When a thought of failure comes, you may let it pass by without offering it a seat. When a thought of victory enters, clothe it in belief and allow it to take root. Every transformation begins with this choice: to feed the thoughts that empower and starve the ones that weaken. Victory thinking is not wishful thinking. It is not idle dreaming or fantasy. It is a conscious decision to align with possibilities rather than limitations. When the mind rehearses victory, it begins to prepare the body, the actions, and the energy to match. A person who thinks victorious thoughts walks differently, speaks differently, and carries a presence that commands opportunities. Even before circumstances change, thought has already shaped the inner atmosphere. This inner change is the first sign that transformation is taking root. Consider how thought shapes every step of your life. A person who believes they are unworthy of success will unconsciously sabotage opportunities, shrink in the face of challenges, and remain bound by the chains of fear. But a person who believes they are destined for victory will rise to meet challenges, persist when others quit, and create openings where none seem to exist. Thought draws to itself experiences of the same kind. Thoughts of victory attract paths that lead to success, while thoughts of failure magnetize barriers and delays. The harvest will always match the seed. To plant only the seeds of victory is to become intentional about your inner dialogue. Each day you sow words and thoughts into your own heart. What you say to yourself in silence matters as much as what you declare aloud. If you speak weakness, you create weakness. If you speak strength, you cultivate resilience. Words are not idle. They water the seeds of thought, encouraging them to grow. To transform in 6 months, you must become a vigilant gardener of your mind, pulling out weeds of negativity and replacing them with affirmations of power, courage, and success. This practice requires persistence, for the soil of the mind has long been accustomed to receiving mixed seeds. Doubts may rise, old fears may try to reassert themselves, but the gardener does not abandon the field because weeds appear. Instead, they continue planting, continue watering, continue believing. Over time, the weeds grow weaker while the seeds of victory grow stronger. Transformation is not an instant harvest, but a process, and the soil always yields to what is consistently planted. Planting seeds of victory means envisioning the life you desire and holding it in thought until it becomes reality. See yourself as already successful, already accomplished, already free. Let this vision dominate the inner world, and it will eventually shape the outer one. Life responds to the strongest images held in the mind, and when victory becomes the dominant picture, defeat has no place to manifest. Every transformation begins in thought, and when you choose to plant only the seeds of victory, you choose the harvest that will one day be yours. Your words are creative commands. Speak as if your success is already here. Every word released into the atmosphere is not lost. It becomes a force shaping the very reality you step into. Words are not simply sounds that vanish once spoken, they are seeds cast into the soil of existence, and the soil always produces according to the nature of the seed. When you declare defeat, you water the roots of failure. When you declare victory, you call forth the harvest of success. To transform your life, you must begin to treat your words as commands to the universe, spoken with authority and conviction. A person's speech reveals the state of their inner world. Out of the abundance of thought, the mouth speaks. If the mind is filled with fear, the mouth will echo fear. If the heart is saturated with faith, the tongue will release words of power. Speaking as though success is already here is not pretending. It is aligning with the truth of what is possible and calling it into manifestation. Just as a general gives orders to an army, your words give orders to your circumstances. Speak weakly, and your life follows the tone of weakness. Speak boldly, and your life begins to reflect strength. The unseen world responds to the frequency of speech. Words vibrate with energy, and that energy attracts its likeness. When you say, I can't, you send out a command for doors to close and opportunities to shrink. When you say, I can and I will, you command the forces of life to align with your determination. Speaking as if success is here creates an atmosphere where success feels inevitable, not distant. This shift in language builds faith, and faith becomes the foundation for action. Words and faith together form an unstoppable current that carries you toward the life you desire. To speak as if success is already here is to understand that the invisible always precedes the visible. The fruit comes after the seed, not before. The word is the seed. The manifestation is the fruit. When you continually declare your success, even before you see evidence, you are sowing seeds that cannot remain barren. The soil of life cannot ignore what is planted into it with persistence. Every time you speak of victory, achievement, abundance, or progress, you place another seed into the ground, and in due season, those words return multiplied. Yet many weaken their harvest by speaking against their own desires. They ask for success but complain about lack. They dream of abundance but constantly talk about limitation. Such double speech is like planting seeds and then pulling them out again before they take root. To command success, your words must be consistent, steady, and unwavering. Let every sentence that leaves your lips agree with the vision you hold within. Even when circumstances contradict, continue to speak as though the promise is already fulfilled. This practice is not about denial, but about declaration. You are not ignoring challenges, but you are refusing to give them power by speaking them into greater life. Instead of saying, I am struggling, you say, I am overcoming. Instead of saying, I will never succeed, you say, my success is already unfolding. These words reshape your consciousness, and your consciousness reshapes your reality. Over time, your speech builds a momentum so strong that your life begins to catch up with the words you have declared. Speaking success is also an act of gratitude. When you speak as if your desires are already present, you honor them as though they have been delivered. Gratitude multiplies what is acknowledged. By speaking words of completion, you send a message that you are ready to receive, that you already stand in the vibration of fulfillment. The universe responds to readiness, and readiness is revealed in the words you choose daily. Your words are not powerless habits. They are sacred instruments. Every sentence is a decree, every declaration a command. If you desire transformation, you must discipline your tongue to align only with what you wish to see. Speak as though success is not coming, but as though it has arrived and is already dwelling in your life. Discipline is the bridge between the unseen vision and its visible form. Vision is the spark, the flame that ignites within the heart. But without discipline, it remains a dream suspended in the unseen. Many hold visions of greatness, prosperity, and freedom, yet their lives remain unchanged because they do not build the bridge that connects imagination to manifestation. Discipline is not a burden, but a gift, the steady force that transforms desire into reality. It is the daily act of showing up for your vision, even when emotions shift, even when motivation weakens, even when the path feels long and uncertain. A vision without discipline is like a seed without water. The seed contains potential, yet it will never break through the soil without consistent nourishment. Likewise, your vision may be rich with possibilities, but without the structure of discipline, it remains dormant. Discipline is the watering of the seed day by day, action by action, choice by choice. It is in the quiet, unseen moments of routine and practice that the roots of transformation are formed. When the roots are strong, the visible harvest is inevitable. Discipline builds momentum. One choice repeated becomes a habit, and a habit repeated becomes a lifestyle. Every small act of discipline becomes a brick laid on the bridge toward your vision. To rise early when the body longs for more rest, to study when distraction calls, to save when spending tempts, to move forward when fear whispers to stop. These are the bricks of discipline that strengthen the bridge. Over time, the bridge becomes so sturdy that nothing can keep the vision from crossing over into reality. Many imagine that passion alone is enough to create change, but passion burns brightly and then fades if not anchored by discipline. Discipline is not swayed by moods or temporary desires. It is steady, unmoved, and consistent. It carries you forward when passion cools and when the excitement of the new has worn off. The disciplined spirit does not wait to feel ready. It acts because readiness is built through action itself. By this law, discipline becomes the greatest ally of vision, for it ensures that the unseen is not lost to forgetfulness, but carried into form through perseverance. Discipline also refines character. It shapes you into the person capable of holding the vision you desire. Many long for abundance, but without the discipline to manage resources, abundance slips away. Many long for recognition, but without the discipline to sharpen their gifts, recognition never comes. Vision calls forth potential, but discipline molds that potential into strength. In 6 months of discipline, you can become unrecognizable to the person you once were, for discipline transforms not only your outer world, but also your inner self. The power of discipline lies in its constancy. Even the smallest consistent actions compound into great results. A single drop of water seems insignificant, yet drop by drop it wears away stone. In the same way, a single disciplined choice may feel small in the moment, but repeated daily, it reshapes the entire landscape of life. Transformation is rarely the result of one great leap, but of countless small steps taken faithfully. Discipline ensures that each step is aligned with the vision, moving you closer each day to the reality you seek. To walk in discipline is to trust the process, to know that the bridge is being built, even when the destination is not yet in sight. It is to rise each morning with commitment, to choose again each moment, to act in harmony with your vision. Discipline does not demand perfection, only persistence. When you fall, discipline calls you to rise again. When you stray, discipline calls you back to the path. And as long as you continue, the bridge between the unseen and the seen grows stronger until at last the vision crosses over into form. What you give energy to grows. Focus only on progress, not fear. Life responds to attention, And whatever receives your energy expands in your experience. The human mind is a powerful garden, and energy is the sunlight that determines which plants will flourish. If you continually give light to fear, worry, and doubt, they will grow tall and cast shadows across your path. But if you direct that same light toward progress, vision, and forward movement, these will rise in strength until they dominate your inner world and your outer reality reflects them. Energy is never wasted, it always produces, but it is your choice whether it produces fruit that lifts you or weeds that entangle you. Fear is a hungry force that feeds on focus. The more you think about what might go wrong, the more vivid those images become, and soon they feel like reality even before they happen. Fear paints pictures of failure, disappointment, and loss, and when you dwell on them, you energize them until they feel inevitable. Yet fear is nothing more than imagination misused. It borrows the creative power of the mind and directs it toward destruction instead of construction. By refusing to pour energy into fear, you starve it of power and weaken its hold. Progress, on the other hand, grows through deliberate focus. Even the smallest step forward becomes stronger when celebrated and acknowledged. When you give energy to progress, you magnify it. A single improvement, no matter how small, becomes a signal to the mind that success is possible, and this encouragement creates momentum. The act of focusing on progress trains your eyes to see opportunities instead of obstacles. Each day offers evidence of movement if you choose to notice it, and by feeding this awareness, you shift your life toward growth. Energy is magnetic. What you give to life returns multiplied. Focus on problems, and more problems seem to appear. Focus on possibilities, and solutions begin to reveal themselves. The same situation viewed through the lens of fear feels impossible, but viewed through the lens of progress, it feels like a stepping stone. The power lies not in the situation itself, but in where you direct your energy. Two people can face the same challenge. One is consumed by fear and collapses. The other focuses on progress and rises stronger. The difference is where energy is placed. To focus only on progress is to honor the journey rather than obsess over perfection. Progress is built step by step, moment by moment, choice by choice. By acknowledging each forward move, you build confidence and keep the energy flowing in the right direction. Fear will try to whisper that it is not enough, that failure is near, that the journey is too slow. But progress silences fear by showing proof, however small, that growth is happening. Every step matters for energy compounds, and over time, small progress becomes transformation. It requires discipline to redirect energy when fear rises, for fear often comes cloaked in logic. It speaks of risks, past failures, and uncertainties, trying to persuade you to pause or retreat. But energy is sovereign. You decide where it flows. When fear speaks, acknowledge its voice, but do not feed it. Instead, turn your focus back to what is working, to what is improving, to the vision that calls you forward. By doing this repeatedly, fear grows weaker, while progress grows stronger, until your energy is so aligned with forward motion that fear cannot hold you. The law is simple and unchanging. What you give energy to grows. When you choose to focus on progress, you build a life of movement, momentum, and strength. When you deny fear your energy, it withers into silence. Transformation in 6 months is not born of fear, but of consistent focus on growth, on steps taken, and on victories won, no matter how small they may seem in the moment. Faith plus action creates momentum that bends circumstances in your favor. Faith alone is a spark, a flame that ignites the heart with possibility, but without action, it remains contained, unable to light the path ahead. Action without faith, on the other hand, often becomes aimless effort, a restless striving without clear direction. But when faith and action join together, They form a force so powerful that it begins to shape the unseen and alter the seen. This union creates momentum, and momentum becomes the invisible hand that shifts events, opportunities, and outcomes until circumstances themselves bend to align with your determination. Faith is the belief that something greater is possible, even when the evidence of the senses says otherwise. It is seeing beyond current reality into the vision of what could be. But true faith is not passive, it demands movement. To say you believe while remaining motionless is to keep the seed locked in the palm of your hand. It may be full of potential, but it will never grow until it is planted. Action is the planting, action is the proof of faith. Each step taken in alignment with belief declares to the universe, I am ready. Action, when joined with faith, carries a different energy than mere effort. It is not frantic or desperate, but steady and purposeful. It flows with confidence, not fear. Each act becomes a declaration, each choice a signal that you are walking toward your vision with assurance that it belongs to you. Even if progress feels slow, faith sustains you, reminding you that every small action compounds, every seed planted will in time bear fruit. Momentum builds not from a single great act, but from the daily rhythm of faith expressed through consistent movement. Momentum is a mysterious force, for once it gathers, it carries you further than your own strength alone. At first, you push against resistance. Doubts rise, obstacles appear, and progress feels heavy. But each time faith inspires you to act again, you gain ground. Slowly, the resistance weakens, and what once required great effort begins to flow more easily. Doors open that were once closed, helpers arrive who were once hidden, and opportunities unfold where there seemed to be none. Momentum is life's way of rewarding persistence, and it is born from the marriage of faith and action. Circumstances are not fixed. They are pliable, shifting according to energy and intention. Faith plus action applies pressure to the unseen currents of life, and those currents rearrange events in ways that logic cannot explain. What seemed impossible becomes accessible, not because the world has changed, but because momentum has altered the path. Faith gives you the vision, action sets you in motion, and momentum bends reality until the vision and the reality meet. Many wait for circumstances to become favorable before acting, but this is the error that keeps them still. Favorable circumstances are created, not waited upon. The act of moving forward in faith calls forth the resources that hesitation keeps hidden. Life responds not to waiting, but to walking. Each step taken in belief summons the next step. Each act of courage reveals new ground. By this law, momentum is never given to the idle. It is granted to the mover, the doer, the one who dares to act with faith. To live in faith and action is to live as a co-creator with life. It is to declare with your words and prove with your deeds that you are aligned with the vision of success, abundance, and transformation. When both are present, nothing remains still. Everything shifts, bends, and rearranges until the outer world reflects the inner conviction. Faith is the seed, action is the watering, momentum is the harvest that rises and overflows into every area of life. Gratitude unlocks acceleration. It multiplies every blessing that enters your life. Gratitude is not merely a polite response to good fortune, but a spiritual magnet, a force that amplifies and expands whatever it touches. When you are thankful for what you have, no matter how small it seems, you create a vibration that calls for more of the same. Life listens to the frequency of the heart, and a grateful heart declares, I see abundance, I acknowledge abundance, I am ready for more abundance. In this way, gratitude becomes the key that turns ordinary moments into extraordinary breakthroughs. Blessings are often overlooked because they arrive disguised as simple things: health, breath, opportunities, relationships, even challenges that shape growth. When you dismiss them, you block the flow of greater gifts, but when you honor them through gratitude, you open the floodgates for acceleration. A thankful spirit multiplies blessings because it does not take them for granted. It treats every gain as significant, every progress as worthy of celebration. By this attitude, you send a signal to the universe that you are a faithful steward of what is given, and faithful stewards are entrusted with more. Acceleration happens when gratitude fuels momentum. Without gratitude, progress feels slow because the focus rests on what is missing. The mind becomes restless, always yearning, always dissatisfied, which slows the path forward. But when gratitude takes its seat in the heart, the journey feels lighter. You begin to notice how far you have already come, and this awareness energizes you to move faster. Gratitude changes perception, and perception shapes experience. What once looked like delay now looks like preparation, and what once felt like scarcity now feels like sufficiency. This shift in energy speeds the unfolding of blessings. Gratitude is also an antidote to fear and complaint. Fear shrinks blessings by convincing you they are temporary or insufficient, while complaint blinds you to the treasures already in hand. Each word of complaint closes doors, but each word of gratitude opens new ones. When you say, I am thankful, you declare trust that more is coming, and trust accelerates manifestation. Gratitude is faith expressed through appreciation. It says, even before I see the fullness of what I desire, I honor what is already here. Such faith quickens the arrival of greater things. Consider how gratitude multiplies in simple acts. When you thank someone sincerely, they are inspired to give more. When you thank life for today, tomorrow arrives with more to be thankful for. This law operates in every dimension. What is honored increases, what is neglected diminishes. Gratitude shines light on blessings, and under light, blessings grow. It is not about pretending challenges do not exist, but about choosing to acknowledge the treasures that coexist with them. By feeding attention to blessings rather than burdens, you multiply the blessings and weaken the burdens. Gratitude also expands inner capacity. When you are thankful for small beginnings, your spirit enlarges to receive greater harvests. Many desire abundance but remain ungrateful for what they already possess, and in doing so, they limit themselves. A grateful soul proves readiness for expansion. 6 months of steady gratitude can change the entire rhythm of a life, for it builds a foundation of joy and trust that no circumstance can shake. Gratitude turns the present into enough, and enough always grows into more. To walk in gratitude is to walk in abundance, for it teaches you to see blessings everywhere. The air you breathe becomes a gift. The lessons learned in struggle become treasures. The opportunities ahead become promises instead of uncertainties. Gratitude accelerates progress because it multiplies faith, and faith draws miracles. The more you give thanks, the more reasons you discover to give thanks, until life itself becomes a river of blessings, flowing faster and fuller with every expression of appreciation. Every transformation begins in the unseen, first in thought, then in word, then in action, and finally in form. The seed of victory is planted in the mind, and with words spoken in faith, it is watered and nourished. Discipline becomes the bridge that carries the vision forward, while focus directs energy toward progress instead of fear. Faith, joined with action, builds momentum that no circumstance can resist, and gratitude multiplies every blessing until life itself begins to accelerate in your favor. 6 months is enough to change everything when these laws are honored. Thought creates, words command, discipline sustains, focus strengthens, faith moves, and gratitude expands. These are not distant ideals, but present powers already within your reach. If you choose them daily, step by step, moment by moment, the life you desire will cease to be an unseen vision and will rise before you as living proof of what is possible.